3 words, 8 letters, 1 meaning. Let's go.
Came a long way sitting in a prison, thinking it was the only place that ever fitted. Now Michael won't with us, and you know we got the vision. This is not a competition, man, it's all about the mission. This is down to the rock, you don't stop. The show start on a weekday right at 7 o'clock, man. Miles.
Welcome back to Dallas. So here we go. We're gonna go check this out.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's
I'm so nervous.
life back in Dallas. It's sober, clean and
Yes.
sober, and it's like I told you on the phone. You know, you're going to realize. First of all, this is my prediction. You're gonna realize, you know, I was tripping. I was making such a big deal about something. You know.
It is, and that's the truth. It's like, you know, when you're on drugs, like in your head, it's like almost insurmountable, right? Like to get clean, you've lost everything. Like, how are you ever going to get an apartment or get electricity put back in your name?
It's that fear.
That, I mean, yeah, but also like that's hard to do.
Right.
You know, and once you've lost it all, it's just like, gosh, it's overwhelming.
So how long's it been? So
It'll be 4 years in February.
So you've been clean 4 years
In February.
in February.
Yep.
And then, so where were you born?
I was born in Fresno, California, in 1977. So
Okay.
I'm about to be 41.
All right.
Yeah, I was born there. I grew up, went to Clovis High School, and went to college at Fresno State. But I didn't graduate because when I got to college and realized that you didn't actually have to go to class,
Right.
like it's not mandatory, I took off on a trip around the world by myself. And then my mom found out and made me come home, and they cut me off. My family did. You know,
Really?
no more college. You know, I was on my own. So they're like, well, what do you want to do with your life? You know, I was 21, and you know, the only thing I liked to do was travel.
When was your first drink, or when did you start realizing that there was something different, that you had an allergy? You had this allergy that we had for addiction.
Okay, well, my father was an alcoholic,
Okay.
and my oldest brother, Aaron, was a heroin addict.
Okay.
So for as long as I can remember, you know, drugs and alcohol were part of my life. So I decided really early on in my life that I was never going to drink and I was never going to do drugs. And I didn't. I didn't. You know, I did all the normal stuff. I went to college, you know, got married, did, you know, normal people stuff.
Right.
And my brother died in 2008 of a heroin overdose
I'm so
in Los
sorry.
Angeles. Yeah. And it, you know,
How'd that affect you? How'd that affect you?
Okay, so this is honesty, and this is not my proudest, you know.
Right.
But before I was a drug addict,
Uh-huh.
I judged drug addicts.
Right.
You know, I thought it was their fault. It was a choice. They were disgusting and weak.
Right.
And when my brother died, I mean, of course I was sad.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm not a monster. But I also at the same time thought, you know, well, you know, he made that choice, and, you know, it's his own fault. You know, when you go down here and you flip around to come back up here
Right.
on the tollway, there used to be a homeless man that sat out there all the time. And I would be the person that would roll down my window and be like, get an effing job.
Yeah.
I was like not a good person.
So you were angry.
Not angry. I just didn't really have any compassion for people that, you know, weren't doing the right things, you know, or what I felt like, you know, I judged people. So I moved here with my husband at the time, and our son, and worked and all that. And then
And what did you do for work?
I worked in operations for a travel company.
Okay.
Had been working there since I was 21. Opened up an office here, was the manager of the office, grew it, worked 100 hours a week. I would say work was my first addiction, probably. You know, success, money, and all that.
Right.
Because there was a lot of destruction from that time in my life. My
Right.
marriage fell apart.
When you just describe to me your destruction. When you say destruction, what does that mean? What does that look like?
I wanted money.
Okay.
I wanted to make money. I wanted to be number one. I wanted to be successful. And I wasn't a good mom then. You know, I had a nanny raising my son.
Right.
And my marriage fell apart. But all that mattered to me was being number one and more money. And I wanted to do well. And then I met a boy. You know, I didn't date all that time, but I met a boy. It was back in the day when like those apps started coming out, you know, like
What kind of apps?
like, you know,
Dating
Tinder, dating apps. I
Okay.
don't know if it was Tinder, but one of those things.
Right.
And And I put an ad on there that I was.
Are you single?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you're
My ex-husband and I had been divorced.
Okay.
And so I put an ad on there saying that I was looking for a hot guy to have sex with.
Okay.
And we ended up setting up a time to go to a concert because at that time I had a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I had like VIP passes to the Deftones concert at Verizon.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to his house to pick him up, and I was like totally in love from the very first moment. And we went to this concert, and we were together every single day from that moment on. And he's like so huge and strong, and he would pick me up and, wrap my legs around his waist, and he would kiss me, and he was like so just like charismatic and beautiful, and it was amazing.
So sober, you're clean.
Yeah. Like there was, but he had been in prison off and on his whole life for drugs.
Okay.
But at the time, like, he'd been clean, and I never even thought that would be, he was on parole. So he was drug testing every month.
Right.
So I never, ever considered that would ever be part of my life. Then in January, he got off parole.
Okay.
And I bought us tickets to go see Shinedown, and I was like so proud of him. Congratulations. And about a week later, he stopped calling me. And I thought, what the hell? Like, I'm calling him, I'm going to his house, he's not answering me. And then, I go to his house, and his truck is there, and I'm banging and banging, and he won't answer the door. And so I break a window. He was on his bed, and he had a needle in his arm. And I thought he was dead. And he woke up, and now I know he was nodding out. So, which is still really the most disturbing thing to me in the world, to see somebody do that. I can't watch it on social media. And he was smiling at me with these eyes that, like, I don't...
Just can't recognize.
No, and he was like... And I remember, like, something inside me broke. And because, I'm so, like, balls to the wall kind of girl.
Right.
Like, I'm like, just quit. Like, what are you doing? And I stopped going to work because I was afraid he was going to die and I wasn't going to be there, And I would watch him shoot up. And I would be so scared every time that he was going to die. And so I missed work. I stopped going to my office. I didn't even care anymore. I didn't call. And so I lost my job. He said, and I know this sounds ridiculous and it's kind of difficult to explain, but if it had been any other moment in time, it would have been different. But that moment I was so vulnerable and, devastated. But he said to me, "You are the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. If you could understand what drug addiction felt like, I know that you would be strong enough to bring us both back." He got out needles. He loaded them up with dope. And I'm sitting there and, like, my mind is like, what are you doing? Like, this goes against everything that you know, believe in your whole life. And this is a mistake. You cannot do this. But I loved him so much. And so I watched him, and it was, like, very romantic in my mind looking back. But I think that if I was, like, being honest with myself, it was one of the most terrifying moments ever.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him tie off and shoot up, and I remember seeing the blood shoot into the rig, and I thought to myself, this is not okay. Like, we're not doctors.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing with needles. Like, what are we doing? Like, this, of course I'm freaking out, like, and blow me out with air bubbles, because how that used to be a thing, or like people would say, like, you could die.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm freaking out about that. And then he looked at me, and then it's like this beautiful moment. He ties up my arm, and he's like staring at me, and we're looking at each other, and it's like, like, we're doing this together. It's like love, love, love. And he shot me up, and I was addicted from that moment. And now I know what it's like, and I can understand why it's so hard. So now it's my responsibility to, like, stop this and, like, bring us both back,
Right.
But I asked him for another shot because it was so awesome.
Right.
And I wanted to feel like that again.
What were y'all shooting?
Methamphetamine.
Okay.
And so I wanted to feel like that again. And again, and again, and again, until my house was gone, my son was gone, and then he went to prison, and he was gone, and I was by myself.
There.
Yeah, we had my son's birthday party there.
At Raphael's?
Yeah, well, because I had a lot of money back then, right?
Yeah.
So I rented one of those video game trucks.
Oh, yeah.
And had all the parents come for margaritas, and I paid for all of it. And the kids played video games in this truck. I'm trying to get on Fish Trap Road. So yes, this is the street that I used to drive down, and I remember like, being so proud owning a house.
This is neat.
Yeah.
How's this deal right now? I mean, here you are.
I'm like proud right now. Like I did, I might have lost everything, but at one time I had my shit together.
Okay.
That's it right there. This is the house that we built from scratch. I picked the colors.
Murphy.
1924, Murphy Court, baby.
1924. Murphy Court. There's the police. See, they're here. They're here coming.
I hopefully have no warrants, people.
Well, all right. So Amanda, here's our first stop. Here's your house. Your very first house that you bought.
Yes.
And this is where it all started. You were working, like you said, we were talking about you were working full time.
Right.
You got your job.
Yeah.
Living the American dream.
I was living the American. I had my kid, and he went to his first day of kindergarten was right here at this elementary school. And I remember walking him across the street, and he had a Lightning McQueen backpack. I remember following him, and he was so little, and he was like such a little man and so cute. Yeah, and he went to school there, and I lived here with my ex-husband now.
Right.
And my sister-in-law, who was actually the widow of my brother that had passed away.
Okay.
So I moved her in with me, and she cooked and cleaned and took care of my son.
So how's it feel to see this?
I'm excited. It feels good to come back. It does.
Yeah.
It makes me, at one point in my life, I did something really right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. It's cool to see it.
You bought this house out of the disease.
Right.
All right. I'm an addict. Okay. And we lose everything. So here's where we're at. We're with the addict chick Amanda Daniels here up here in Providence, the Providence subdivision.
Yeah.
And this is where she purchased her first house. And part of her story is that when she got divorced, she met another man and was introduced to methamphetamine.
Yep.
And lost the house as a result of a consequence. There's a part of our consequences. This is where the consequences started.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue the journey, and we're going to go from here. We're going to stop by where you used to work, look at the building, and then we're going to go to the famous Zang and Beckley.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. From here, this is where I started.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where I ended up.
This is where she started, and this is where we our life is like this when we are living life on life's terms, and now you're going to see where life takes us when we make the decision to turn our will and life over to the care of dope. I learned in recovery that when I look back at my story and I go back into the past, in recovery, I can go back in the past and learn and see that my biggest character defects, what just got me in trouble all the time, God uses today. They're my biggest assets.
Right.
So what does that mean in my world? My world, I have the gift of gab. I'm telling you, I could spit box with the best of them. But the thing is that there's consequences, and consequences give me the opportunity to repent, and repentance gives me the opportunity for God to do His magic. And that's to show His grace.
Amen.
And that's what happens, and that's what I see in your life.
And I don't know if God really works like this, but like for me, I feel like, the addiction, the work, all the work that I did and, the destruction had to happen for me to find God.
That's
because
exactly right.
My stepfather had passed away. Okay. So my mom let me move home with her in Tyler, Texas, which is like an hour and a half away from here.
Absolutely.
But the rule was that I could live with her as long as I went to her Bible study every week.
Okay.
Right? And I was like, sweet, no problem, Mom. Like, cool. I'm going to move right into that room over there, and I'll be at your Bible study. Yeah. We went to that first Bible study, and I remember thinking, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to kill these people with logic on religion. The stupidest shit ever. Like,
I'm going to prove you wrong.
I'm going to prove you wrong because I've got all this logic about why religion's bullshit.
Right.
And, God isn't, because if God existed, my brother wouldn't have died. If
Life
God,
on Amanda's terms.
Hell yeah, and I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to embarrass my mom so bad.
Come on.
That they're never going to invite me back to this Bible study, you know?
God will let you do it.
Yeah, and I didn't say one word for that whole hour. And I had this feeling, it was like a change in the way that I felt. Like maybe there is something here. And they all knew I was on drugs.
Yeah.
And these are adults, very Christian people that probably had never been around drugs their whole life.
Yeah.
And I went to that Bible study every Tuesday for a whole year. And I knew that I wanted to be saved. I knew that's like was going to be the point. And
wait a minute. You said the word saved. You wanted to be saved.
I knew that, through the Bible studies, I knew this was the thing. This was like the next step,
so
right?
the seed was planted.
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to be saved.
Yeah.
Like, I made it myself. I was like, listen, homie, I know I'm a mess, but I know you're real.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're real. Like, save me, please. I will do anything. And I begged for him to save me. And there was like this feeling, right?
Yeah.
And so then I drove to my mom's house. I was in a t-shirt and underwear covered in blood, and I walked into her living room, and she's sitting there, and she looks at me, and she was like, and I fell into her lap, and I begged her. I said, Mom, I need help. Please save me. Please, I will do anything. Save my life. And it was the first time I'd ever asked for it. And moms are amazing. She had me in rehab in Austin that day. And so, you drive the 4 hours to Austin, and by this time, the dope is out of my system. And I'm starting to panic. Like
what did I do?
I don't want to get clean.
Right.
I'm not ready. Like, I need dope to get clean. And we pulled up into the rehab's, driveway where they're waiting for me. And we get out of the car, and we're standing in front of the rehab. And I looked at her, and I grabbed her, and I'm like, I've forgotten all the promises I've made to her and God. I'm like, Mom, I promise I can get clean at home. This is a waste of money. Please, let's go home. I'm sorry. And I'm crying and crying. And she looked at me and she said, you are a strong Robertson woman, and I won't bury another child. So I need you to get your ass in there and save yourself, because I am done helping you. But I stayed, and I stayed every single day, and I stayed clean, and I'm still clean today.
My girl.
Boom.
My girl.
But yeah, this is where I used to work, and this was my place, Wellington Center. Oh, that's emotional.
Well, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel proud and sad, and but that wasn't my, if I hadn't gotten on drugs,
yeah.
I would still be working here 100 hours a week. I would not know my son, so I can't have it all, right? I can't go back and have the money and all those things that I had here and have my child and, a relationship with God. So, there's redemption in that.
Yeah.
You don't stop the show, start on a weekday right at 7 o'clock. Mad Miles in the booth, we got Johnny on sound. Call Julie the boss lady, let her know what's going down.
This is M to the rock that don't stop. The show start on a weekday right at 7 o'clock. Got the paparazzo, call him Danny Cambo. With the picks, you can't pick, every one of them is gold. And that one young lady that wants you to be free. Everybody say it with me, love you, Mama P.
Yeah, Mama P.
Love that.
How about that opening? Woo-wee. Michael Moulton, M2 The Rock Radio. We're coming to you. Yep, we're coming to you live, baby, from Dallas, Texas, D-Town. You ready, Amanda?
I'm ready.
The 214. That's right, D-Town, baby, the Dirty D. We're coming to you live from the 3rd floor of the iHeartRadio studio, overlooking the Galleria, the official crack house for all the women of North Dallas, the Galleria Mall. Come get your fix, ladies. Gather around, chow, rollin'. Oh, man.
Hashtag truth.
Yes,
Galleria.
hashtag truth. So we have got an incredible show today. We have got in studio a very special guest, 2 special guests. One's a longtime friend. One's a new longtime friend.
That's right.
Amanda Daniels, Addict Chick, live in studio here on M2 The Rock Radio.
Thank you for
We are
having me.
so glad that you're here. We're going to get into this story, an incredible story. We've gotten to witness some neat God moments today. And Tiffany Hendra, longtime friend of M2 The Rock Radio, Queen Lady Balls, and a special shout out to her wonderful husband, Aaron Hendra. We cannot, formerly Real Housewife of Dallas, but now the Coaching Sanctuary, right?
Yes.
Tiffany-
Love to be here. Thank you so much.
And so when I met Amanda on social media, Addict Chick, a.k.a. Addict Chick, I was watching her, and on a fly, we were just talking about this, like how we
Right.
met. And I typed in the comments because I heard her say that she was from Dallas. And I said, where are you at from Dallas? And she's doing a live, and she's like, oh, there's that Michael Moulton guy who just started. And I'll let you tell the story. And, I'm from Dallas. She goes, well, I'm from Oak Cliff. And I'm like, whoa. I used to hang out in the Cliff. That's where I used to get high. And I'm like, this is my girl. And I said, man, she went hard if she's hanging down in Zang and Beckley. I mean, she wasn't playing. And I never made it down there. I wasn't that kind of drug addict. But anyway.
You're a Plano drug
That's right, the Plano drug addict. I hung out with Tiffany Hendra.
Does that even count?
Yeah.
I mean, if you weren't homeless, like down in the OC.
Well, I got there. So, but I wanted to kind of tee it up. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, introduce yourself to Tiffany and tell us a little bit about why you're here and how this is all happening.
Well, I am from Dallas. I started my career here. I worked here for 8 or 9 years and raised my son here. Bought my first house here, and then when I got on drugs, I did a lot of drugs here, everywhere, all over Dallas, every Starbucks bathroom, homeless. And then I got clean and I ran away from Dallas. And I went to rehab in Austin and never came back here. So it was important to me to come back and kind of face the demons. You can't run, or you can only run so far. And so it was a God thing that we talked, and you invited me to come. And this is a great support for me. So for me to come back like this around people that are in recovery, probably the safest and smartest thing that I could have ever done, because, I'm facing feelings for the first time, and I didn't expect to feel like this.
As we were talking when she's in Kentucky, and we started this dialogue via social media. That's how we met. The power of social media can be also very good.
It is, yes.
It's
I say
amazing.
it's our mission field.
Right.
It is a mission field.
It
yeah.
is. It's our mission field.
So she reaches out to me, and she says, one day I want to come back to Dallas and revisit this. And I said, Amanda, I think that would be awesome. Yeah. And I said, come back and be on the show. We've got an incredible group studio. I mean, there's over 100+ years of sobriety just sitting in the studio right now. And I said, we've got a great team. A lot of your mutual friends have been on the show. And I said, you're safe. And come walk through this. And she goes, I would love to do that and see that. And I said, and on the top of that, you would not believe it's not the Cliff anymore. It's Bishop Arts.
It is.
And
I can't believe it. I
I
haven't been
You'll see
yet.
it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's like a little Austin.
It is.
It's a little vibey.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like.
It's very vibey. It's so cool.
What are you doing today? You're no longer with the Real House. You didn't re-sign with Real Housewives of Dallas, and you're pursuing your coaching sanctuary. Why don't you share with us what you do to help and inspire women like Amanda Daniels and myself? You inspire men too.
Well, thank you. I've been saying lately, I don't use this term because I think I like to keep it easy. I'm an empowerment coach. I'm a life coach. But I'm really a freedom coach. I want women to live in freedom. I think so often, whether it's drugs or it's we're having this big Adderall addiction here in Dallas.
Yeah.
They're unhappy in their lives. Whatever it is, a shopping addiction, whatever it is that's keeping them. To me, I'm addicted to peace. I'm addicted to God. My addiction. I cannot go a day without my time with God. So I do have an addictive personality. But I channel it somewhere else, and I use it for good. And I see a lot of women living in their own self-imposed prisons. They don't have to go behind the bars physically,
right,
but they're living in a prison. And so that's really all I do. I try to steer them and direct them and hold a mirror up to you and say, look how awesome you are. You're a badass.
Amanda and Tiffany, for the one who is still suffering out there right now, okay, for that girl out there, Amanda, who is in that warehouse, all right, and is on that dirt floor, what do you tell her?
Girl, we're waiting. Come on. Life is so much better on the side. And, we do get clean.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's in your head. It's not as hard as you think. It's not that, it's not insurmountable, because we're all getting clean. Look at us. Look at you. And I know you were a hot mess.
Yeah.
I can just tell. I can tell by your pants that you were totally
I was a hot mess. I was a hot mess. And there's a lot of people on that feed going, yes, he was a hot mess.
I like them.
Yes.
I love a Papa Wild.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
Tiffany Hendra, we love you.
Oh,
love you so
love
much.
you so much.
Yeah,
I love
thank
you.
you. And tomorrow night, Amanda Daniels, Addict Chick, will be in studio with Deandra Simmons. For everyone here, Julie, John, my man Miles, the official paparazzo of M2 The Rock Radio, Danny Campbell, our boy Carter, C-Dog, and Mama P. We love you. Mama P, Papa P. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.